Long ago, thousands of years in the past, in the land we now call the Middle East, there existed one of the most mysterious civilizations in human history. They are known as the Sumerians. The Sumerians are considered the first people to build a true civilization. They invented the wheel, created the foundations of mathematics, and gave the world its first writing system. Many of the things we use in our daily lives today can be traced back to the discoveries and inventions of these ancient people. Yet, even with all their achievements, we still do not know where the Sumerians came from, who they truly were, or how they were able to create such a complex and advanced society so quickly. According to their ancient texts, their knowledge was a gift from beings who descended from the sky. They called them gods. These beings, the tablets say, came to earth and brought humans wisdom, skills, and laws. Some believe that these ancient records may contain secrets about visitors from beyond our world, and that perhaps the first civilization on Earth was born through the guidance of these otherworldly beings. In the heart of the Middle East lies a region known as the Fertile Crescent. Once, great rivers flowed here, gardens flourished, and the land was rich and full of life. It was here that humans first learned to farm. They cleared the land, planted seeds carefully, controlled the flow of water, and built the first cities. This land became known as Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. Today, much of it is dry and desert-like, but thousands of years ago, the climate was different. The vegetation was lush, the rivers teemed with fish, and life moved gently along the riverbanks. Mesopotamia is often called the cradle of civilization. It was home to great empires, the Akkadian Empire, the Assyrian Empire, and the Babylonian Empire. For centuries, archaeologists believed these were the first peoples of the land. But then, ancient tablets were discovered, records older than all the others, and a name that changed history. The name of a people who lived here long before everyone else, the Sumerians. Their cities have vanished, their language has faded into silence, but their legacy still lives in our world today, and the mystery of their origins remains unsolved. Let us drift back in time to imagine what life might have been like among the first cities, with clay tablets and bustling markets, and the soft murmurs of a world just beginning to understand itself. Imagine the rivers flowing quietly in the moonlight, the gardens fragrant with ancient herbs, the people moving slowly, carefully tending their crops, their children playing softly by the water's edge. The Sumerians observed the sky, they traced the stars, they marked the passing seasons, and from these quiet observations they built the earliest forms of writing, numbers, and the laws that would shape future generations. Can you feel the calm of this ancient world? A world that existed before noise, before machines, a world of quiet effort and gentle discovery. As you breathe slowly, let your mind drift with the rivers. Let it float among the gardens and temples, among people who lived millennia ago, whose hands shaped the very foundations of our civilization. And in that calm, you may wonder what secrets they kept, what dreams they dreamed, and what whispers of knowledge came to them from the skies above. Here in the Fertile Crescent, life was fragile, yet filled with potential. Each day brought discovery, Each season brought growth, and each generation built upon the knowledge of the last. Imagine the scribes in quiet wombs, marking clay tablets with careful strokes, each symbol holding meaning, each line a connection to the past, a gift to the future. As the sun sets behind distant hills and the stars appear in the clear night sky, you feel the stillness, the calm of history itself, wrapping around you like a soft, warm blanket. The Sumerians, though long gone, continue to speak to us through the gifts they left behind, through the wheel, through writing, through knowledge, and through the gentle rhythms of life that they helped shape. Let your thoughts drift now, like soft clouds across the Mesopotamian sky, as your body relaxes and your mind floats toward sleep. Let us begin our journey in Uruk, one of the earliest and most famous cities of Sumer. Picture high clay walls stretching for miles, enclosing a city alive with the soft sounds of life. Children run through narrow streets, carrying clay pots of water. Farmers return from the fields, their feet dusty, laden with grains to sell in the bustling markets. At the heart of Uruk rises the great ziggurat, a stepped temple reaching toward the sky. Its surface glows warm under the sun, and priests slowly climb its steps, offering prayers to the gods, their chants blending with the gentle rush of the river nearby. Next, we travel south to a city known for its quiet dignity and enduring beauty. Here, life moves with a gentle rhythm, almost like the river that nourishes it. Imagine the soft flicker of oil lamps illuminating the streets at dusk, casting long, dancing shadows on mud brick walls. The city hums with the sounds of merchants arranging their goods, the scratching of scribes writing on clay tablets, and the low murmur of prayers from the temple courtyards. Is also famous for its royal tombs, resting places of kings and queens, adorned with delicate jewelry and fine ceramics. Each tomb tells a story of a life that once walked these streets, a life intertwined with the pulse of the city. Not far from lies Lagash, a city of careful planning and quiet prosperity. Canals wind gently through the fields outside the city, bringing water to crops and sustaining life. Traders move slowly along the streets, their footsteps echoing softly against stone and clay. In the temples, priests maintain sacred rituals, honoring the gods who protect the city. And in homes, families share meals, the aroma of bread and stew mingling with the scent of the river and the earth. Lagash is alive, yet calm, a place where the rhythm of daily life feels both eternal and fleeting. As we drift further along the rivers, we find smaller towns and villages, each with its own story, each a small piece of the Sumerian world. Some have markets bustling with traders from distant lands. Some have workshops filled with the quiet clatter of tools, shaping clay, wood, and metal. And everywhere the gods are present, in the ziggurats, in the rivers, in the whispers of the wind. The Sumerians believed their cities were watched over by these divine forces, and this faith shaped the architecture, the laws, and the lives of all who dwelled there. Now imagine standing on a riverbank at night, the water reflecting the stars above. The cities are quiet. The ziggurats, towering silhouettes against the dark sky, seem almost alive, watching over the sleeping city. Somewhere far away, a shepherd counts his flock. Somewhere else, a scribe sets down a story on a wet clay tablet, perhaps a tale of gods or heroes, a story that might survive thousands of years. And as you breathe in the cool night air, you can almost hear the faint echoes of a civilization that once thrived here, a civilization that built the very foundations of our world. The cities of Sumer may have long since crumbled into dust, their streets buried under centuries of earth, but in your mind they are alive. Uruk, Lagash, They rise again, softly and slowly, carrying with them the lives of the people who once called them home. Their stories linger in the quiet, ready to be heard, as timeless as the rivers that first nourished them.
Life in Sumer was not only practical, but also deeply artistic and intellectual. The Sumerians were a people who observed the world carefully, recording patterns in the skies, the rivers, and the seasons. Their culture reflected a profound understanding of both the visible and the unseen. The Sumerians were among the first to develop organized knowledge. They studied the stars and created early calendars to predict seasons for planting and harvesting. Imagine a Sumerian priest at night, gazing at the glittering sky, tracing the movements of planets and stars, and marking them on clay tablets. These observations guided the lives of farmers, traders, and kings alike, connecting the rhythms of the cosmos with the rhythm of everyday life. They also practiced early mathematics. Their counting system was based on 60, which is why we still have 60 minutes in an hour and 360 degrees in a circle. Clay tokens, numbers etched into tablets, and precise measurements of grain and land help Sumerians organize cities, trade, and agriculture. Sumerian cities were filled with quiet beauty. Craftsmen worked carefully in bronze, stone, and clay, creating jewelry, sculptures, and intricate cylinder seals. These seals were tiny works of art, engraved with scenes of gods, animals, or daily life, pressed into clay to leave their mark. Pottery and weaving were also highly developed. Imagine a basket of freshly woven reeds, a clay pot drying slowly under the warm Mesopotamian sun, each item a testament to patience and skill. Everyday life and spiritual life intertwined in these objects. They were practical, beautiful, and meaningful.
Music was woven into the fabric of Sumerian life. Lyres, harps, and flutes created gentle melodies that accompanied festivals, rituals, and quiet evenings. Picture a courtyard at sunset, the soft pluck of strings mingling with the distant murmur of the river, the song of birds, and the laughter of children. Music marked the passage of time, celebrated life, and brought the community together. They also enjoyed games and storytelling. Board games, dice, and simple puzzles entertained both children and adults, teaching patience and strategy. Storytelling, often performed aloud in homes or temples, preserved myths, heroic tales, and lessons about gods and humans, a living history passed from generation to generation. Daily life in Sumer was a careful balance of work, worship, and family. People lived in mud brick homes with small courtyards, gardens, and spaces to cook, weave, or craft. Children learned practical skills alongside stories of gods and heroes. Markets were alive with the soft sounds of negotiation, footsteps, and the rustle of cloth and grain. Festivals and religious ceremonies were central to life. The Sumerians believed that honoring the gods ensured fertility of the land, protection of cities, and harmony in the community. Offerings of food, incense, and songs were made regularly. The rhythm of their lives mirrored the cycles of the river, the growth of crops, and the movement of the heavens above. The culture of the Sumerians was a delicate blend of practical life, faith, art, and knowledge. They observed, recorded, and celebrated the world around them, leaving behind stories, inventions, and creations that still whisper to us across thousands of years. Their cities were not just places to live, they were living, breathing embodiments of human curiosity, care, and creativity. The land of Mesopotamia could be both generous and harsh. Floods from the rivers brought fertile soil, but they were unpredictable, sometimes destroying crops and homes. The Sumerians learned to work with nature. They dug canals, built levees, and created irrigation systems to channel water to their fields. Imagine the soft murmur of water flowing through these canals, nourishing fields of barley and wheat. Farmers worked carefully, planting and harvesting according to the cycles of the rivers and the guidance of the priests who studied the stars. Through these innovations, the Sumerians could grow more food than ever before, supporting the thriving cities of Uruk, Ur, and Lagash. The Sumerians were masters of building with clay bricks. Every home, temple, and wall was crafted with care. Large ziggurats rose step by step into the sky, their surfaces baked under the sun. These monumental structures were not only religious centers, but symbols of human creativity and determination. They also built strong city walls and defensive structures, protecting their people from invaders. Streets were carefully planned, often lined with houses and small workshops. Bridges spanned canals, and public spaces allowed traders and citizens to gather. Every building reflected the Sumerians' understanding of engineering and their ability to transform imagination into reality. One of the most remarkable Sumerian inventions was cuneiform writing. At first, it recorded simple things, quantities of grain, lists of animals, or traded goods, but gradually it became a tool for complex administration, law, and storytelling. Clay tablets, pressed with a reed stylus, captured the daily life of the cities. Accountants and scribes worked quietly, their stylus making soft marks in the wet clay. Through this writing system, the Sumerians could manage large cities, track trade, and ensure that knowledge passed from one generation to the next.
One of their most remarkable achievements was in metalwork, especially in silver and bronze. Silver, precious and shining, was carefully shaped into small statues, jewelry, and ceremonial objects. Imagine a quiet workshop in Ur or Lagash. A soft glow of fire illuminates a craftsman's face as he hammers and molds silver into the form of a god, a human figure, or a sacred symbol. Each sculpture, polished to a soft shine, carried meaning. It could be an offering to a deity, a gift for a ruler, or a treasured item in a wealthy home. These silver sculptures often depicted gods, goddesses, animals, and humans, capturing not only physical form, but also the essence of life itself. Eyes were sometimes inlaid with precious stones, giving the figure a sense of presence, as if it could watch the world around it. Such attention to detail reflected the Sumerians' deep connection to both art and spirituality. Beyond silver, Sumerian culture thrived on handicrafts. Artisans worked with clay, wood, stone, and textiles, producing objects that were both functional and beautiful. Clay figurines were common, often representing humans or animals, sometimes used in rituals or placed in homes as protective charms. Weaving was another important craft. Soft fibers from flax or wool were spun and dyed, then woven into clothing, mats, or decorative items. Imagine the quiet rhythm of hands moving back and forth, weaving patterns that were at once practical and intricate, each thread carrying a story. Pottery was equally sophisticated. Bowls, jars, and vessels were carefully shaped, baked, and decorated with carved or painted designs. These objects were not only used in daily life, but also placed in tombs or temples, their artistry a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Even the smallest objects in Sumerian life were infused with care and creativity. Tools, jewelry, and utensils were designed to be both useful and pleasing to the eye. Silver and bronze were polished, ceramics painted, textiles dyed, all reflecting a culture that valued skill, patience, and beauty. In these objects, we can hear the soft whispers of Sumerian hands, working quietly over centuries. Each sculpture, each woven cloth, each polished pot tells a story, not just of the people who made them, but of a civilization that sought to bring grace and artistry into every corner of life.